What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Swizz, and today's guest is none other than Cameron Santerre of the Rhode Island College Anchorman baseball team. Here's a little bit of info about Cam. He was named First Team All Little East, First Team All Region by ABCA and Rawlings, and Second Team All Region by D3Baseball.com. Cam played in 40 games, starting all of them. He batted .392. He was 60 for 153 with 69 scored runs, 60 hits, 13 doubles, 2 triples, 7 home runs, 31 RBIs, and 34 stolen bases. He owned a 641% slugging percentage, a 519 on-base percentage, and a 982 fielding percentage, established a new program record for runs scored and stolen bases in a single season. So, without further ado, here's a clip of Cam, game-tying grand slam against UMass Boston.
And he swings on that one, high in the air to left, moving back, that's the load, it's out of here! A grand slam in one swing of the bat, and we've got a tie game here in game number 6 of the Little East Tournament. A grand slam for Cameron Santerre, and the Anchormen tie it up here in this one.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Swizz Sports Show. I'm your host, Tyler Sumner, or Swizz as people like to call me. And now I'm joined with my guest for episode 2. Not much to say about him because he's a phenomenal baseball player. Cameron Santerre. Cam, thanks for joining us, first of all.
Thanks for having me, Ty. Excited to be here.
So we're going to talk about your phenomenal season this year with Rick. But before we get into that, let's talk about, how you grew up around Bristol and Mount Hope and all of that, and what was growing up in a family of baseball and really playing at that level and really getting to where you're at now.
So I started in King Philip Little League in Bristol, and I grew up playing in that league with a bunch of my friends, and I was lucky enough to be coached by my father and just surrounded by great coaches along the way. I know a lot of kids, they aren't as lucky as I am because I know many cases that coaches can ruin the game, or parents, whether it be parents or tough coaches, they can ruin the games for some kids. But really, ever since I started out, my dad coached me from day one, had good instructors. I got in with John Burke over at East Bay Baseball Academy from day one, and they really just set me straight right from the beginning, and that really grew my love for the game right when I started out in Little League. And obviously Little League is just about having fun. It wasn't too much about being the best player you can be. It's just hanging out with your friends, building relationships. And from there, I started getting into AAU. Once I finished up my Little League years, after I was 12 years old, I got into the local AAU program, and then eventually made my way up to the Rhode Island Prospects, and then the New Bedford Bay Sox. And really throughout all those years, my dad, he stayed being my coach throughout those years, but also I was introduced to a lot of other mentors. In high school, I had Coach Maz. He's a great leader, really focused on the mental part of the game. And also my AU coach, Mike Pratt, he also was big into the mental side. And as I grew older, I really appreciate that part of the game because it's really important. And a young 13 to 15-year-old Cam, when I was getting mentored by my AU coach Mike Pratt about all this mental stuff, I might have not believed that back then, how important it was, but now as I'm getting older, it really is true. So I was really just blessed with good mentors along the way.
Absolutely. And one of the things that you brought up with different coaches and all of that, maybe talk a little bit how exposure in the game of baseball is so important.
Yeah. So now I feel a lot of Rhode Island players are getting more exposure. I'm starting to see a lot of high schoolers going D1 to all these Kentucky, Vanderbilt, a lot more guys going to D1 schools. And I feel like I didn't start focusing too much on my college exposure until my sophomore year of high school, and where I started to play for the New Bedford Bay Sox, and that was just filled with kids that wanted to go to play in college. They had aspirations of playing college ball, and whether it's going to showcases like PBR showcases where they record your 60 time, like your exit velo, like that does help getting in front of like college coaches. But ultimately, like I just wanted to go to a place where where I was going to get opportunity to play. And like some kids will just try to go to a D1 school for the sake of saying that they're able to play at D1 school. But I'd much rather be able to get an opportunity where like the coaches will express like my skills and I'll be able to be on the field as opposed to like trying to go into a D1 team where I know I might not be a fit. At least that's where I was at in high school. So I really tried to just stay like local, like around like CCRI, like Rick, which is where I ended up going. I didn't really look too much out of Rhode Island because, to be honest, I was a homebody. Like I couldn't picture myself going out of state too much. But yeah, and as far as like the showcases go, like this is where my dad, like he kind of got in my ear about like you have to showcase your talents. Like I'm not like the biggest guy. I'm not gonna be hitting it out of the park, especially when I was in high school. So I was just like, when I'm hitting BP in front of college coaches, it's all line drives. Like if I have an opportunity to show my speed, like I have to utilize that, like my hustle, because that's my strength. So I want to make sure that I'm showcasing my strengths during like when these college coaches are looking at me. So that's like one thing I would suggest for like high school players, like just showcase your strengths.
Yeah, so the next question I got for you is, so you obviously had a phenomenal season at Rick this year. The on base percentage, the slugging percentage was a big part of that. And I want to talk about, because you're a batter, you have a quick bat. So how hard is it at the college level to see off speed pitches versus like regular pitches in comparison to that? And like, does it kind of mess with your head in like a psychiatric way almost, like with the off speed when he throws an off speed and then he throws a fast pitch?
Yeah, so I got better with the off speed pitch last year during my sophomore year. Because my freshman year, I remember I was facing Southern Maine, and Southern Maine has a bunch of just righty pitchers that just throw front door sliders all the time. And it would freeze me every time. Like I'd see the ball coming at me and I'd just freeze. And it's really about just like, you have to be prepared, like ready in the box at all times for any pitch. Like, and your mental approach is really important. So like eventually I just, especially at Rick, like we would hit in the cage every day off the machine too. Like we'd see curveballs constantly. So that also got me kind of used to it. But after my freshman year, like I said, against Southern Maine, like where I was just seeing slider, like I noticed like I have to be more prepared for this. So what I would tell myself is literally if a ball is coming at me, you gotta stay on it, like because it's probably going to be a front door slider. And I think that approach helped me a long way. Like it's a simple approach, but it's really just about being ready for any pitch. And I feel like that approach helped me my sophomore year, and this year it carried on.
Yeah. So the big question that everybody's been wanting me to ask throughout Facebook and everything is the stolen bases record, the new record, all of that. I mean, where do you get it from, Kim? Like,
you can ask my family. My mom is a speedster. I get it from her. But no, really, I have to credit my assistant coach, Coach Risley. He came into Rick 2 years ago for my sophomore year, and my freshman year I had 15 stolen bases, which is pretty solid. But like, I was really only going on like dirt ball reads. I wasn't really getting like the straight steal very often. And Coach Riz came in and like he got into my head coach's ear about trying to give me the straight steal a little bit more. So my sophomore year, I had 34 steals, and I was getting the green light every time I was on first base. And then this year they decided to give me the green light to go to second and to steal third base as well. So I really took advantage of that. And I feel like personally it's easier to steal third base too, because the pitchers are more aware of you when you're on first. Like they'll pick off a lot more, like they'll try to keep you on your toes. But when you're on second base, like you rarely see a pitcher do a spin move or try to roll off to keep you on. So I feel like a lot of my steals to third base were much easier than my steals to second base.
Now, the last question before we get into the last segment of the show, it's in the video already. The grand slam against UMass Boston. What was going through your head there? And then with the celebration at the end, just like the stomp on home plate, just like the exclamation mark, like what was that like? That must have been a surreal feeling.
Yeah. So like in the on deck circle, I was like, I felt very confident going to that bat because I don't know what it was. I was just picturing myself like using my imagination. And when I hit it, I lost all feeling in my body for like, and that lasted like into like the next 2 innings. Like I was just so excited. And if I retired after that moment, like I would have been happy. Like that was, I still think about that like to this day. Like I watch the video every now and then when I want to feel good. And it's just, but no, that was like an unreal experience for me. But
yeah, so the last segment that we like to do here on the Swiss Sports Show is a game of this or that.
okay.
So, first one we got, because you're a baseball guy, so I'll give you some baseball ones. Would you rather face Randy Johnson or face Nolan Ryan?
I say face Nolan Ryan because I picture Randy Johnson having like, he like just slings it from like his arm angle, like coming from where it's at. Like, what was he throwing? Like 100 miles an hour?
Kill the bird.
Yeah, killed the bird. Yeah. No, I can't, like with the tail that he has, like I don't picture that being possible for me. At least like for Nolan Ryan, like as a righty, like it'll come in straighter. So like I'll just sound a fastball, but still probably miss it. But
now, if you were a pitcher, would you rather have to throw against Barry Bonds or Mark McGwire?
Mark McGwire, because Barry Bonds is a goat in my eyes. It's a crime that he's on the Hall of Fame.
Thank you. Somebody finally said it. Somebody, because you look at his numbers, right? It's just insane. In the 14 years prior to him, before him using it, and I'm not saying that we it's obvious that he used because you can see the difference, but he never got caught.
Right.
And that's why you got to put him in the Hall of Fame. But he had 2 Hall of Fame careers in one.
He did. Really. Yeah. Before he got before he started using, like he would have been a first ballot either way.
What moment do you think is better in Red Sox history?
Mm-hmm.
Dave Roberts stealing second base, or David Ortiz's grand slam and Torrey Hunter going over the wall?
I hate both those moments. Well, I hate the first moment because I'm a Yankees fan. So any Red Sox moment that is like any historical Red Sox moment, I do not enjoy. But I would say the Torrey Hunter play, that is with him going over the wall, that grand slam. I was watching that game and I remember watching it, and like for the Dave Roberts steal, I was too young to remember that. I think I was 3 years old, but the David Ortiz grand slam, that resonates with me even as a Yankees fan. So I'm gonna have to go with that. Like that's that. So, like I remember where I was for that moment.
You mentioned you're a Yankees fan, so Mariano Rivera's final game or Derek Jeter's final game?
I was at Derek Jeter's final game. We got me, my best friend Nick Sim, and my brother, and like Nick Sim's family. We all went. So that was an awesome game. Like I got to see like the pregame ceremony stuff. Like that was really cool. So I'm gonna have to go with that.
And the final question here: who is your AL MVP so far this year, and who's your NL MVP so far this year?
You know, I might get some hate for this. I know the AL MVP. I'm gonna have to go with. I have no idea. Who's your NL? Who's in your NL?
My NL right now,
Yeah.
I got it. I got Acuna.
Yeah. No, yeah, Acuna's definitely
My
my guy
AL's
for the
is
NL.
tricky.
He's the best guy. He's the best in MLB right now.
Oh yeah.
AL,
AL, I got Shohei.
I wish Judge wasn't hurt so often. That's stupid. That Dodger Stadium wall where he ended up doing something with his toe, like. But it's hard to go against Shohei. I mean, like he's dominant pitching and hitting. Like I could see it going to Acuna and Shohei, to be honest. So I might be on board with you. It's hard to have like a debate with it because like Shohei is just
Absolutely.
you can't have an argument against Shohei.
And if you had to pick one player from each of the divisions, from NL and AL, who do you think's the future of this league?
Ellie De La Cruz. I love him. I don't know. He might not be the future of the league, but like, I just love the energy that he brings, and the way that he started his career so far. Like, he's gonna be legit. Like, he flies around the bases. He kind of reminds me of like him and O'Neal Cruz. I think Ellie De La Cruz is better. Or, yeah, I think Ellie De La Cruz is better. But I think him and O'Neal Cruz are like very similar. Like they're these big lefties, like that can do everything. But like I like how the game is getting like. I feel like the game's getting more athletic. Like you're getting like these like big guys who can hit for power, but they can also like fly around the bases. They can steal bases. They throw like 100 miles an hour across the diamond. Like
Exactly, yeah.
I like where the game's going. Right.
Because in the 90s, you had the steroid era. In the
Right.
2000s, you had the clutch era. And now
Yeah.
the 2010s, you had the speed era. Now you have the athletic era in the 2020s.
Right. Just everything.
For me, I would say the future's Julio Rodriguez. I love watching him play.
Yeah. No, he has a
Absolutely
sweet
love it.
swing. He has a sweet swing.
It's my go-to
Yeah.
batting stance in the show.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, Cam, thank you for joining us today here on the Swizz Sports Show. It's been a pleasure chatting it up with you. This episode will be out later today on YouTube or wherever you can find it. There will be links posted everywhere. And yeah, that's it. Next week, we will have Charles Walker of the Dean College men's basketball team on. And then episode 4, my dad will be coming on to predict every
there we
NFL schedule. Every team's NFL schedule in the league.
Ooh, yeah.
Coming up. But Cam, thanks for joining us. And
Thanks for having me,
it's been a
Ty.
pleasure. Absolutely.
Thank you.